Hey everyone, and welcome to this high-yield exam preparation explainer. 欢迎来到思培高分大师课. Today, we are going to decode a real piece of Canadian news to help completely boost your CELPIP scores. Look, if you're aiming for those top-tier CLB levels, you already know that just memorizing textbook English, well, it just isn't going to cut it. You really need to grasp how Canadians actually speak out there in the real world. So we're going to break down an authentic media clip, pull out all the high-value vocabulary, and map out exactly how the exam creators will try to set traps for you. All right, let's dive right into this real-world scenario. We're looking at a recent segment from CTV's Your Morning, which is a total staple of Canadian morning television. So this clip features Jacob Zimmerman. He's this brilliant Canadian mathematician who literally just won the Fields Medal, which is basically the Nobel Prize of Math, for his work on something called the Andre-Oort conjecture. But here's the twist. He's actually taking a leave from his university to work on AI safety over at OpenAI. This single news item is absolutely packed with the exact kind of colloquial, everyday language, and complex info structures you are guaranteed to face in listening parts 5 and 6. Here's our quick syllabus for today's whiteboard session. We'll cover North American slang, conceptual mind maps, handling the information overload, tracking timelines and details, mastering true, false, or not given questions, and we'll finish up with some speaking exam predictions. Let's get right into it. Okay, Section 1. Whiteboard notes on North American slang. Let's look at the rapid-fire slang used in this broadcast. First up is the noun whirlwind, or in Chinese, 一阵旋风,一阵旋风. So in the interview, the speaker describes his experience of winning this huge award as a whirlwind. This means things were happening incredibly fast. It was intense, super busy, and maybe even a bit confusing. If you hear this word on the exam, your brain should immediately associate it with a fast-paced, highly active, and probably overwhelming scenario. Now, you know what's really interesting about this next phrase? It's all about secrecy. The speaker talks about how he had to hide this massive achievement for a while, saying he was keeping it under wraps. That just means keeping it a secret, or 保密. If you ever see a test question asking about the status of a project and the audio says it's under wraps, you know for sure the correct answer revolves around confidentiality or non-disclosure. Oh, this next one is fantastic. Usually you hear cold turkey when someone quits a bad habit, like, say, smoking, just completely and abruptly. But here, the speaker uses it to say, math can be hard to sort of just jump into cold turkey. It brilliantly illustrates the struggle of diving into a highly complex subject completely unprepared, or 毫无准备. You're basically jumping into the deep end with zero warm-up. Moving on, we have in a nutshell. When Jacob says, that's kind of it, in a nutshell, he's wrapping up this massive, complex mathematical concept into just a few simple words. It literally means 简而言之, 简而言之. The big takeaway here for you is that this is the perfect idiomatic way to summarize things. If you hear someone say, in a nutshell, in a listening passage, wake up and pay close attention. The speaker is literally handing you the main idea, the thesis of everything they just talked about. And let's toss in a supplemental phrase that fits this whole context perfectly, flying under the radar. This means to keep a super low profile, or 低调行事, 低调行事. This perfectly captures the vibe of working quietly in a lab for 15 years before suddenly winning a global award, right? It's about avoiding public scrutiny. So, on the exam, if an audio clip mentions an employee who is flying under the radar, it means they're quietly getting their work done without seeking any of the spotlight. All right, Section 2. Conceptual mind maps and Canadian culture, because knowing the vocabulary is really only half the battle. We have to map out how Canadians actually navigate complex cultural phenomena. Bridging that gap between just memorizing a dictionary definition and having true cultural comprehension is absolutely crucial for top scores. Take keeping it under wraps or being under the radar. These perfectly reflect a very common Canadian cultural trait of modesty. Canadians typically don't boast about their achievements prematurely. Understanding this cultural tendency of understatement is a game changer. It helps you accurately predict a speaker's tone and attitude, which honestly is exactly what the test will be asking you to do. Let's move on to Section 3. This is the minefield, the information overload. Okay, let's talk about the jargon trap. As a general rule of thumb, ignore the highly technical jargon. In this broadcast, Jacob just effortlessly rattles off terms like Andre-Oort conjecture, algebraic geometry, and non-abelian geometry. And I guarantee you, lower-level candidates will instantly panic. They'll try to write all this down or figure out what it means. Don't fall for it. Remember, this is an English proficiency exam. It is not a university-level math test. They are never going to ask you to define algebraic geometry. What they actually want to know is how the speaker feels about his work. The correct answer will almost always focus on his attitude, like the fact that he views his research as this exciting way of linking different subjects together. Next up, Section 4, another minefield, timelines and details. So in the audio clip, the host mentions that it's been about 6 months since Jacob got the winning phone call back in January. This right here is specifically designed to confuse your sequencing of events. This is exactly why you must always take notes using a simple formula: time plus event. If you don't map it out, you might get tricked into choosing a multiple choice option that says he won the award 6 months ago. No, that's false. He was notified 6 months ago. The secret was kept under wraps, and the award is officially being announced now. Pinning specific events to specific timestamps on your scratch paper is how you dismantle this trap every single time. All right, Section 5, tackling true, false, or not given questions. This is often the hardest question type because you have to identify uncertain information without making false assumptions. Look closely at this comparison. Jacob talks about taking a leave to work on AI safety at OpenAI. A classic CELPIP pitfall is an option that boldly states Jacob is permanently leaving the University of Toronto. But wait, he explicitly says in the interview, "I'm staying a faculty member. I'm going on leave." A temporary leave does not mean a permanent resignation, so that assumption is strictly false. Always, always base your answers only on what is explicitly stated out loud. Never let your brain jump to a logical but unstated conclusion. Finally, Section 6, speaking exam predictions. Let's actively apply this whole Canadian news topic to parts 6 and 7 of the speaking test. Jacob Zimmerman's move to OpenAI for AI safety is massively relevant right now. AI is basically guaranteed to show up on the exam. So, based on what we've learned, how would you answer this exact prompt about AI's threat to safety, using the slang we mapped out today? You really need to show the examiners that you possess a natural, flexible command of the language. Well, check this out. By combining 3 key idioms into one structurally perfect sentence, you can demonstrate absolute mastery over Canadian English. Listen to this. In a nutshell, while AI development has been a whirlwind, we must prioritize AI safety before jumping into it cold turkey. Boom. That sentence alone is a real game changer for securing high marks in vocabulary and sentence variety. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. What other complex, real-world topics in the news right now could you apply these exact same idioms to? Think about it. Keep practicing, keep connecting these phrases to the real world, and I promise you, you'll dominate the exam. Good luck.